Nagini! 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 Also Jamie Campbell Bower and Toby Rekbo, they're pretty cool too, yeah. Welcome back to Neverland, where this is it, the final trailer of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald has actually dropped yesterday. Was terrible timing for me. I was waiting for it all day, and then literally the second I get out of the door to go somewhere, it dropped, which was annoying because I wanted to react to it, but this instead has given me the time to like really properly look at it and like find a few hidden things that not everyone has picked up on. I feel like also fan sites and everything. So I just want to discuss that, but something I've also realised is that I've really been looking at this trailer from like 3 different perspectives, which on the one hand is me as a die-hard Harry Potter fan, me as someone who has, you know, been to uni and like academically analysed stories for like the past 6 years, and then someone who's in the course of becoming like a professional storyteller. So I really want to kind of wear all of these hats today and just kind of have a look at that trailer and see what's going on. So first and foremost, obviously I watched this trailer as a fan, and I think the big reveal that they'd been leading up to the entire weekend was the fact that Claudia Kim's character, she's a maledictus, she's actually Nagini. And while this was a big deal for everyone, it wasn't necessarily a positive revelation for everyone. There have been a lot of people, I mean for a while now, but especially yesterday, who have accused J.K. Rowling of kind of pulling a George Lucas and kind of, you know, changing, you know, retroactively changing big things of her original story, which is of course the Harry Potter book series. But I don't actually think that's fair. I mean, apart from the fact that I'm a die-hard J.K. Rowling supporter, I really always want to step back and have a look at what is going on, and I really do not think that's absolutely true. I think all of us have always known that Nagini was not a normal snake. I mean, there's a reason that everyone has always kind of tried to come up with, you know, fan theories about, like, around Nagini. She was way too anthropomorphized to be just a normal snake. You know, her relationship to Voldemort was not completely that of a pet and an owner. And now we know why. She was a human with a blood curse. She's a maledictus. And this is of course absolutely exciting, and not just that, but looking at the original book series, everything is making so much more sense now if you ask me. You know, Nagini being so loyal to Voldemort during her time as his companion, I suppose. Her being able to pause as Bathilda Bagshot. I remember reading the books and being like, oh, I didn't realise Nagini could do that, but then animals have always seemed a bit more powerful in the magical world. But obviously Nagini was always a step ahead of, you know, say Crookshanks or Hedwig. And this is why. And not just that, but this obviously also changes quite a few situations in the books and the films, although more so in the books. You know, the fact that Harry was kind of the only human Horcrux, I guess not really anymore. I mean, I don't know how much the DNA of a maledictus changes once they, like, are a snake forever. For those of you who don't know, J.K. Rowling has kind of yesterday revealed a bit more about the condition of a maledictus on Twitter. It's always only women. It's being passed on from mother to daughter, so it's not really like being a werewolf, which I found really interesting. And something that's kind of transpired as well is the fact that she's not really always able to 100% control this condition, and at the point, and at this point where we meet her in the Harry Potter series, she's at maybe, we don't know, but maybe just a snake forever. So the question is how has her DNA changed? And also, and that's just coming to my mind now, what if she can still change to a human at that point? I find that really interesting. Then we have the fact that in the books she killed Snape, but she didn't in the films, which is kind of a big discrepancy now, I think. So we'll really find out more about the murder of Snape, essentially, her story, her character. And then Neville killed her, of course. So that's another facet to this. What's also interesting is her relationship with Voldemort. they're supposed to meet after his first fall. So I find that really interesting, because the question is, why would she follow him? He was that powerful at that point to, like, you know, scare her into following him the way that maybe he did it with Wormtail. So I'm really interested in why she followed him, and it also kind of makes you think of her role now in the Fantastic Beasts series. Like, is she going to, like, be interested in the cause of Grindelwald, you know? I find that absolutely fascinating. I can't wait to find out more about her. I think all of this ties in together perfectly. Another point I want to discuss, which I think has been completely off of everyone's radar, is Queenie. I understand that no one has really been paying attention to her at this, like, in the past few months, because she wasn't really super present in the trailers. There are a lot of very important characters at the moment. But what made me pay attention to her is Pottermore. So what I do when a new trailer comes out is I immediately go check out Pottermore and their articles. Because the thing is, Pottermore acts as if it was a fan site, but it really, really isn't. It's really, you know, absolutely steered by the official franchise, you know? I mean, they will at least have clues of what's going on. So, for instance, last time Fantastic Beasts came out, and we learned all about the Obscurus condition, they immediately posted an article about Ariana Dumbledore, which was definitely on purpose. So these things have been happening, so I always pay attention to what they say. And something they brought up was like, oh, Queenie seems really gloomy, and she's not really, you don't ever see her with Jacob. I wonder what that's all about. And I'm like, yeah, you are right. And that makes me think her not being with Jacob, while like during the end of the last trailer it seemed like they would be together, and the promo so far kind of made me feel that as well. And we have seen them together in some footage. I'm wondering, you know, especially there's this one point during the trailer where she kind of approaches this raven symbol, which seems to be on one of these black banners that Grindelwald is kind of sending all over Paris. Makes me think if she's kind of relating to Grindelwald's cause, you know? I mean, not only is she a very specific magical being, you know, she's kind of an outsider already as someone who's that good at legilimens, but she is also with a muggle, and, you know, we don't really know what's gonna happen between kind of where we left off and where we're gonna meet them again. So I'm wondering if, because of her being magical and because of Jacob being an omage or a muggle, whether there's going to be some kind of tension between them that, you know, kind of prevents them from being together, and she thinks that maybe Grindelwald's cause will help her kind of achieve that goal and kind of be with Jacob. So I find that really interesting. I think that's definitely a possibility. It would tie in the original group from the first film more with the actual film, kind of show something that Joe has always done, which is how does war affect actual individuals, which I also find really, really, really cool. So I think people should pay more attention to that, and definitely always check out Pottermore, because Pottermore always will give you clues to things that maybe you didn't think about yet. And then similar to this, by the way, we've got Newt, who specifically is asked by his brother Theseus in the trailer to choose sides, and he's like, oh, I don't do sides. And then we again hear Letter telling Newt, oh, there was never a monster he couldn't love. But that takes on a new meaning, and then we see footage of Grindelwald, and then you wonder, oh, he doesn't want to do sides, but also there's not a monster he can't love. Could that be Grindelwald, you know? And then in combination with Dumbledore obviously not being able to move against Grindelwald because of personal reasons, and maybe others, but definitely personal reasons, if Newt can, and Dumbledore will let Newt do it because he thinks, oh, maybe he's gonna, like, be more human about this than the Ministry, who maybe just want to, like, you know, just want to hunt him down, whereas Dumbledore's like, you can end him, but in a way that's going to keep him alive. So I find that dynamic really, really interesting. It makes Newt have a much more interesting role and not just kind of be Harry 2.0, but really have him have a connection and like a role and a purpose in all of this, which I think is great. So yes, fan me was absolutely excited after seeing this trailer. I was shaking after I watched it. But at the same time, storytelling me was like, I see issues. I think number one, and that's something I've said a couple of times now, is just the fact that, you know, there's just so many characters. What are they going to do? I've said this in my last Fantastic Beasts review of the first film, but this story to me is made for a book series, made for it. There's so many characters as in the original Harry Potter series. They have stories, they are complex, they are great, but we don't ever get to see a lot of that because there's just not enough space or time. And that's a bit of a shame. Also story, like history, exposition, all of that kind of gets lost because there's so much to cram into it, and you know, the visuals that kind of battle the complexity of the story. And that's kind of a shame. I'm wondering if they're gonna manage this time, 'cause last time already I thought it was a bit much, and now we have even more characters, so we'll see. But there's obviously a lot of things that are really great. The score was really good. I really liked the violins. They made everything seem really urgent and important, but at the same time really sophisticated, which I loved. I mean, we don't have to discuss visuals, they're great. I'm never totally on board with the beasts, but then probably not done yet. So we'll see during the actual film. I still don't think we're quite there in general with CGI, but soon, you know, we're getting there. People have also been wondering though whether maybe they've given away a bit too much, which again, as a storyteller, someone who's just in general interested in how franchises market themselves and tell their stories by all kinds of media and opportunities, this is definitely something to bear in mind. But I actually don't think they have. I think people were concerned about this because of the Nagini reveal, but for a lot of us this might seem like, oh my god, I can't believe they already told us this. But then there's a lot of people who might not really remember who Nagini is, you know, it's like, oh yeah, Voldemort and Snake, I guess, like, so had they seen this in the film, they might not have even understood this during the film, but I feel like you will really need to understand to, like, make conclusions and really understand the repercussions for the future, because not for nothing does it say literally in the trailer, the future will change forever or something, which is a very drastic statement, and I don't think just means within the Fantastic Beasts realm, but like going like after that. So it's really important that people know what's going on, and a lot of them will not. Just an example, my sister, who has read the book several times, who has watched the films a lot of times, who generally has very good Harry Potter knowledge and is really into it, she watched the trailer, and then I saw it a couple of hours later and I was like, oh my god, Nagini. She was like, oh, you're right. You know, like she knew and she understood that this was Nagini and that Nagini existed, but she didn't make that connection. She's a young viewer as well, that's something to consider. I mean, you have a lot of young viewers who will, you know, not analyze every single fiber of every Harry Potter story, but they need to understand, and so does the general public, because they are the ones that need to go to the cinema for that film to make proper money, you know? So, I mean, and that's always kind of been an issue of the Harry Potter franchise, I guess, that they're kind of a bit too inside. So I actually think that the Nagini reveal was really important. And then, of course, I can't help but kind of have a more critical point of view when it comes to, you know, this trailer and kind of watching it from a more analytical, cultural theory point of view. And as a big feminist, I've really paid attention to the female characters and specifically Nagini, Claudia Kim's character, as a woman of colour who we have not had a lot of in the Harry Potter franchise. So it's great to have one. And something that the Mary Sue has said and that I've picked up on as well is, of course, that it's kind of unfortunate that that one woman of colour is later to become a pet of, like, a villain. That's not great. Again, representation in general in the Harry Potter franchise has been getting better. I will say that they course corrected retroactively, but this is just not great. I mean, having a look at, in general, at the portrayal of women of colour, this is usually something that happens. They're sidelined, they're kind of belittled in their role, and pet is kind of as belittling, being a pet is kind of as belittling as it gets. So I can't say I'm super happy about this. Having said that, this is what we know now, but I do want to have a look at how the story plays out. This is a really important character, so to have her play this really important role is very, very great. It was a big reveal. She did stand in the spotlight very much yesterday, which is really cool. So I do want to give this all a chance. I want to have a look at how it plays out in the story. It is just something to keep in mind, I think, and it's important we don't just kind of brush these things away. Also Johnny Depp, which is still, like, that's still a thing. People have not been as vocal about this the past few months for some reason. Good for Warner Bros, I guess, but it's still a thing, and I don't want to completely forget about it and just, you know, always keep it in our heads. And then something I want to say, wearing all of these hats, so kind of coming from critical theory and as a storyteller and as a fan, I really, really, really want to like specifically point out the fact that they brought Jamie Campbell-Bower back as young Grindelwald from Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, and Toby Regbo as young Dumbledore. As all of these things, I'm really happy about this in terms of being a fan. It's just a really powerful move to kind of see these things connected. As a storyteller, it's clever and super necessary because you needed to link these things properly. This franchise has been totally up in the air with the theme parks and the films and the books and the play and, you know, all the different elements it has. So that was definitely a strong move of being like, hey, we belong together. All of these parts kind of relate to each other. And then as someone, again, coming from critical theory, having analysed literature and general storytelling a lot, I'm just like, what is canon? You know, I guess that's also kind of a fan thing, but what is canon? Because Fantastic Beasts to me was more linked to the books than it was to the films up until this point, like of the original series, because obviously it was written by J.K. Rowling. It was the only version of this story we have, it is. So you know, that was just kind of what it was. But now, seeing this very strong connection to the films, it's like, oh, I guess it is connected to the films. But then obviously very big questions arise, apart from like story and plot points and characterization that has changed from book to film. And here, one big one being, did Nagini kill Snape in this version of the story? Are we just changing it completely now? Because like the entire Warner Bros franchise and J.K. Rowling have accepted that nobody gives a damn about the books anymore. I don't know. It's definitely worth thinking about, and it has been bugging me the past 24 hours, so, you know. So many questions, even though we got so many answers, but it's never enough. These are the biggest points that I've really, really wanted to bring up. There's obviously so many things I didn't talk about. Character things, costumes, other character relations, but, you know, I could analyse this for hours and hours and hours, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'd like to know what you thought of the new final trailer of Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald. Specifically, what did you think about the Nagini reveal? What do you think about actors returning from the original Harry Potter film series? And is there anything that you paid attention to that maybe other people have kind of not seen yet? Let me know in the comments. As always, you can like the video if you liked it. You can subscribe if you want to see more of me and children's entertainment. You can follow me on Twitter or on Tumblr for regular updates on my videos and children's media in general. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!